The cafeteria of Orion Intergalactic Academy was always loud at noon. Students from dozens of planets gathered there. Humans, reptilian species, energy beings, and soft-bodied creatures from distant worlds. Everyone talked, laughed, and showed off their tech gadgets. At one corner sat a group of human cadets laughing louder than everyone else. Among them was Ethan Cole, a tall, confident young man with bright eyes and a sharp smile. He was popular, proud, and always wanted to be the center of attention. Ethan slammed his drink on the table and said with a grin, "You guys really think I can't talk to her?" His friends laughed even harder. "Talk? Ethan, you wouldn't even stand next to her," said Mason, his best friend. "Come on, man, she's huge. Look at her." Across the hall sat Lyra, the alien girl they were mocking. She was from planet Orin, known for its calm oceans and glowing skies. Her body was large and round, her skin a gentle silver blue that shimmered under the lights. Her big black eyes looked kind, but they always seemed a little sad. Lyra sat alone, quietly eating a strange glowing fruit from her world. Every now and then, someone whispered and laughed about her. She never responded. She just kept her head down. Ethan followed his friend's gaze and smirked. "So what, she's just different. I could make her fall for me easily." "Huh? No way," Mason said. "If you can make her fall for you, heck, if you can marry her, I'll give you 5,000 credits. The table exploded in laughter. "A marriage bet," another shouted. "Ethan marrying the alien blob girl? That'll go viral." Ethan leaned back in his chair, pretending to think. 5,000 credits, huh? His smirk widened. "All right then. I'll do it. I'll marry her. Watch and learn how charm works, boys." Phones were already out, recording his words. The whole cafeteria buzzed with excitement. It wasn't just a joke anymore, it was entertainment. At another table, Lyra looked up. She had heard her name. Her dark eyes found Ethan's across the room. For a moment, everything went silent. Her expression didn't change, but something in her gaze made Ethan feel slightly uneasy. It was calm, deep, like she could see right through him. Then she looked away and continued eating. "Looks like she didn't even hear us," Mason snorted. But she had. Later that day, Ethan saw Lyra again in the academy garden. She sat under the glowing trees, sketching something in a small holographic pad. He walked up to her, flashing his usual confident smile. "Hey," he said smoothly. "Lyra, right?" "I'm Ethan." She looked up slowly. "Yes, I know," she said softly. Her voice was calm, almost musical. Ethan felt awkward for a second, then laughed. "You're always sitting alone. I thought maybe you'd want some company." Lyra studied his face carefully. "Company?" she repeated. "Humans do not usually offer me company." "Well," Ethan said, rubbing the back of his neck, "I'm not like other humans." She smiled faintly, a small, knowing smile. "No," she said quietly. "You're not." Ethan blinked, unsure what she meant. "So, can I sit?" She nodded gently. They sat together under the soft blue light of the trees. Ethan tried to start a conversation about her planet, her culture, her food, pretending to be interested. Lyra answered politely, her tone kind but distant. At one point, Ethan asked, "Why don't you talk to others more?" "They might like you if you tried." Lyra looked at him for a long moment. "Would they?" she asked. "Or would they laugh louder?" Ethan had no answer. For a brief second, guilt flickered inside him, but he pushed it away. As he stood to leave, Lyra said softly, "Ethan, humans often play games with hearts. You should be careful. Some hearts have power," he chuckled. "Don't worry about me. I always win my games," she didn't reply. She just watched him walk away, her eyes glowing faintly in the shadows. That night, back in the dorm, Ethan's friends surrounded him. "So, did she talk to you?" Mason asked, grinning. "Of course," Ethan said proudly. "She's already hooked. Give me a few days and I'll have her saying yes to anything." The room filled with laughter again. Someone shouted, "This is going to be the best prank ever." But outside the window, under the twin moons, Lyra stood quietly in the garden, her eyes glowing brighter now. She whispered to the stars, "He doesn't know the game he's playing, and he won't like how it ends." Days passed since the cruel bet was made. To everyone's surprise, Ethan began spending more time with Lyra. At first, it was just part of his plan, a game to win his friends' laughter and the promised 5,000 credits. He started sitting near her during meals, bringing her small gifts, pretending to listen when she spoke. The cafeteria that once laughed at her now whispered behind their hands, recording every moment secretly. "Watch this," Mason said one day, hiding a small recorder under the table. "This is going to be the funniest love story ever told." Ethan smirked but didn't answer. He walked across the hall holding 2 glowing cups of starfruit juice. Lyra looked up from her tablet when he approached. "For you," he said, placing one in front of her. She blinked, confused. "You don't even like orange fruit." He laughed lightly. "Maybe I'm learning." Her eyes studied him again, calm, unreadable, but deep. "You humans are strange. You pretend you don't care, but your hearts make too much noise." Ethan smiled awkwardly. He didn't understand what she meant. That evening, he met her again in the academy garden. The twin moons cast silver light on the crystal flowers. Lyra sat by the water fountain, sketching in her hollow pad. Ethan sat beside her, pretending to be fascinated. "You draw really well," he said. "What is that?" She showed him. A glowing picture of 2 figures standing hand in hand under stars. "It's a human and an Orin," she said. "I imagined peace between our kinds." He laughed softly. "You really believe that could happen?" She looked at him and said, "Maybe not with most humans, but maybe with one." For the first time, something in Ethan's chest felt heavy. He looked away, telling himself it was part of the plan. Yet, when she smiled at him, something inside him whispered, "This isn't a joke anymore." Days turned into weeks. Ethan's friends kept pushing him to take the prank further. "Come on, man," Mason said. "Ask her to marry you already. The video's gonna explode online." Ethan hesitated. "I think she actually likes me now." "Maybe we should stop." "Stop?" Mason laughed. "You started it, bro. Don't grow a conscience now. You're a hero on the net already." Their laughter echoed in his head. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He looked at his reflection in the mirror and muttered, "It's just a game, right?" But deep inside, he wasn't sure anymore. The next day, he found Lyra in the academy lab studying an ancient Orin energy crystal. She looked beautiful under the dim light, her silver blue skin glowing softly, her eyes full of quiet strength. "Lyra," he said, forcing a cheerful tone, "I need to ask you something important." She turned to him, curious. "Important?" He knelt down, a part of the act, and pulled out a small silver ring made by the academy printer. "Lyra of Orin," he said dramatically, "will you marry me?" The students around them gasped. Some started recording immediately. Mason, hidden in the back, was already laughing silently. The whole cafeteria stopped to watch. Lyra didn't move for a long moment. The room was silent. Then slowly she nodded. "Yes," she said softly. "If that is what your heart wants." The room erupted in cheers and laughter. Ethan stood, pretending to look overjoyed while flashes and cameras captured everything. But when Lyra looked at him, her face was calm, almost too calm. She whispered, "Then let it begin." That night, as Ethan celebrated with his friends, the laughter felt hollow. He tried to drink, to laugh, to forget the look in Lyra's eyes, but he couldn't. He stepped out onto the balcony, the cold wind brushing his face. Far below in the academy garden, Lyra was walking alone under the twin moons. Her figure glowed faintly, her long robe trailing light behind her. Ethan watched her quietly. A strange feeling, guilt, confusion, maybe even fear, crept into his heart. Then for a moment, Lyra stopped walking. She turned and looked up at him from far below. Her eyes met his, glowing softly like they could see his soul. Ethan froze. Lyra raised her hand slightly, and a faint pulse of blue light shimmered in the air between them. "You made your choice." "Ethan." Her voice echoed softly in his mind, though her lips never moved. "Now the bond has started." He gasped and stepped back, his heart racing. The balcony lights flickered. Below, Lyra turned away and disappeared into the shadows. The day of the wedding came faster than anyone expected. What had begun as a cruel joke now turned into the most talked-about event in the entire Orion Academy. Posters, hollow screens, and live feeds buzzed with excitement. "The human-alien wedding," students laughed. Even some teachers shook their heads in disbelief. Ethan stood in front of a mirror, adjusting his ceremonial uniform. His hands were trembling, though he didn't want to admit why. It wasn't fear of marriage. It was something else, a strange weight inside his chest ever since that night on the balcony, when Lyra's glowing eyes met his and her voice had echoed in his mind. He whispered to himself, "It's just a game, just a bet." Get through it, collect the credits, and move on. But deep down, his heart whispered another truth. This doesn't feel like a game anymore. In the grand hall of the academy, lights shimmered across crystal ceilings. Humans and aliens filled every seat, their laughter mixing with whispers. Some came for curiosity. Others came to mock. At the front stood Lyra Voren, calm and graceful. She wore a flowing silver robe that sparkled like the night sky. Her large eyes glowed faintly, not with tears, but with quiet power. When Ethan entered, a murmur spread through the hall. Cameras turned. Someone shouted, "Smile, Ethan! The galaxy's biggest joke is getting married." He forced a grin, walking toward her under the ceremonial arch of light. When he reached her, he hesitated for a moment. Her presence felt different. There was warmth, but also something vast, something that made the air around her hum softly. The officiant, a robotic elder, began the ritual. "Under the oath of two hearts from two worlds, do you vow to share your bond?" Ethan's throat went dry. He could feel hundreds of eyes watching. Mason winked from the crowd. Holding his recorder high, Ethan forced a smile and said, "I do." Then, all eyes turned to Lyra. She looked straight into Ethan's eyes and whispered softly, "So it begins." Then she said aloud, "I do." The moment she spoke, the lights flickered. A low hum filled the room like distant thunder. The crystal floor glowed faintly beneath their feet. A ring of blue energy rippled through the hall, brushing over everyone's skin like a cold breeze. Gasps spread through the crowd. "What was that?" someone whispered. The officiant blinked and continued as if nothing happened. "By the bond of the vow, your hearts are sealed." As he finished, a gentle light wrapped around Ethan and Lyra. The glow faded as quickly as it came, leaving silence behind. Ethan looked at Lyra, uneasy. "What was that? Some kind of Orin custom?" She smiled faintly. "Something like that." That night, after the ceremony, the celebration turned wild. Ethan's friends cheered and poured drinks, shouting, "To the galaxy's bravest man!" Mason laughed, slapping him on the back. "You actually did it. You're famous, man. The bet's yours." "You won!" Ethan tried to smile, but his chest still felt heavy. He looked at the glowing ring Lyra had placed on his hand. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. He excused himself and returned to his quarters, needing silence. When he opened the door, he froze. Lyra was there, standing quietly by the window, bathed in moonlight. Her robe shimmered like liquid silver. "How did you—" he began, but his voice caught. She turned slowly. "This is our room now. We are bonded, remember?" Ethan stepped back. "Bonded? It was just a ceremony, Lyra. It's not real." Her expression softened. "Not real?" she whispered. "Then why does your heart echo with mine?" He blinked. "What are you talking about?" She walked closer. The air around her shimmered faintly. On Orin, marriage is not words. It is energy, a soul link. When we vow, we share life force. I feel what you feel, Ethan. Ethan's pulse quickened. "That's impossible," she tilted her head. "You said this was a game. Let's see how long you can play it." Her voice was gentle, but her eyes glowed brighter. Ethan felt a strange warmth rise inside his chest, like electricity running through his veins. He gasped. "What are you doing?" "Nothing," she said softly. "Our hearts are simply meeting." For a moment he saw flashes, alien oceans, glowing skies, the laughter of children, then war, fire, and pain. He stumbled back, gripping his head. What was that?" he whispered. Lyra's voice was soft but firm. "My memories. A small gift, so you can understand what you mock." Ethan stared at her, speechless. She turned toward the window again, her voice distant. "Sleep now, Ethan. Tomorrow you will start to feel it." "Feel what?" he asked, his voice trembling. Lyra looked back, her eyes glowing faintly. The price of a lie sealed by a vow. Outside, lightning flashed across the twin moons. The academy slept, unaware that something ancient had awakened between a human and an alien girl. A bond born from a joke, now pulsing with power neither of them fully understood. And in the silence of the night, Ethan whispered to himself, "What have I done?" Morning light spilled through the academy windows, painting silver lines across Ethan's room. He woke with a gasp. His body felt strange, heavy, warm, almost vibrating. For a moment he couldn't breathe. Then the feeling passed, leaving a faint blue shimmer across his skin. He looked at his hands. They glowed for a second, then faded. What the hell is happening to me? He whispered. The door chimed. Before he could answer, Lyra entered silently. Her eyes glowed the same soft blue. You feel it, don't you? She said. Ethan stared. Feel what? Why is my skin glowing? Our bond, Lyra replied. It's growing. He shook his head. No, this was just a joke, a ceremony. You spoke the vow, she interrupted gently. On Orin, vows are alive. They listen. The academy corridors buzzed that day. Everywhere Ethan went, whispers followed. Students pointed, laughed, and replayed clips of his wedding on their holopads. The human who married a blob. One alien snickered. Ethan tried to ignore them, but every step made the faint hum in his chest stronger. His reflection in the metal wall showed eyes slightly brighter than usual, like Lyra's. He marched to the med bay. Dr. Wren, check me, he demanded. The robot doctor scanned him with humming lights. Strange, it said. Your bioenergy levels are 10 times higher than human average. Cellular vibration matches. Orin patterns. Orin, Ethan repeated. That's her species. The robot nodded. Impossible, but true. You are changing. Ethan felt cold. No, I'm not one of them. He stormed out and found Lyra in the garden again. She was kneeling near the fountain, hands in the glowing water. What did you do to me? He shouted. She didn't flinch. Nothing you didn't agree to. This isn't funny, he yelled. My DNA is changing. Lyra looked up slowly. Because you mocked a bond sacred to my people. You made it real with your words. Now our energies are tied. Ethan stepped back. Break it, she shook her head. Once the link forms, it can only fade through understanding, not hate. He clenched his fists. You're saying I'm stuck like this? Not stuck, she said softly. Connected. That night Ethan couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, visions flooded his mind. Oceans shining under twin suns. Children with silver skin laughing, the feeling of deep sadness and loss. He saw a planet burning. The same blue-skinned people running in fear. He saw a small girl crying beside fallen warriors. Then he saw her, Lyra, older, standing among ruins, her hands glowing with power. He woke up drenched in sweat. Why am I seeing her memories? Lyra's voice echoed faintly in his mind, though she wasn't there. Because your heart is learning mine. Ethan pressed his palms to his head. Get out of my mind! But she didn't reply. The next morning, Ethan went to his training class. When the instructor asked him to power the reactor core model, something incredible happened. He touched the console, and blue light surged through it. The machine hummed to life instantly. Everyone gasped. He powered it with his hands. Ethan looked at his fingers, glowing faintly again. The light flickered like breathing. Mason pulled him aside later. Bro, you're glowing now. That's not normal. Ethan tried to laugh it off. It's a side effect, maybe. Nothing serious, but Mason looked scared. You need to fix this before people start calling you one of them. Later that evening, Ethan returned to his room. Lyra was there again, sitting calmly by the window. Stay out of my room. He snapped. I told you, she said quietly. Our bond links us. When your thoughts shout, I hear them. Then you know I want this to stop. Lyra stood and walked toward him. Do you? Or are you afraid of what you're becoming? I'm becoming a monster. He shouted. She shook her head. No, you're becoming aware. Humans call us ugly because we hold energy they can't see. Now you feel it. Her words struck him harder than he expected. She reached out her hand. Touch the water with me. Ethan hesitated, then slowly placed his hand in the fountain beside hers. The water glowed bright blue. Warmth spread through his body, calm and endless. This is the truth, Lyra said softly. Our forms are different, but our souls share the same light. Yours is waking up. For a moment, Ethan felt peace, a strange comfort he had never known. Then flashes hit him again. Battlefields, destruction, and a voice whispering, the bond will test you. He pulled his hand away, breathing hard. What is coming, Lyra? She looked toward the stars outside. The universe listens when two hearts connect, and now it's listening to us. That night, lightning rolled across the sky again. Ethan sat by the window watching his faintly glowing hands. He whispered, this started as a bet. Now it's turning me into something else. And somewhere in the garden below, Lyra's voice drifted softly in the wind. The transformation has only begun. 3 nights had passed since the strange visions began. Ethan hadn't slept much. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Lyra's memories. Her world, her people, her pain. It wasn't just dreams anymore. It felt like he was living inside her past. When he walked through the academy halls, lights flickered as he passed. People whispered and moved away. "He's turning into one of them," someone muttered. A half-human freak. Even Mason had stopped joking. He avoided Ethan's eyes, scared of the faint blue glow that now followed him everywhere. Ethan tried to keep his anger down, but his heart was a storm. Finally, he went looking for Lyra, the one who started all of this. He found her near the top of the academy tower, standing alone under the night sky. The twin moons glowed on her silver skin, and the wind moved softly around her like light itself obeyed her presence. "Lyra," he called out. His voice cracked with anger and confusion. "You're going to tell me everything, and now?" She turned slowly. "You're ready," she said softly. "Ready for what?" "The truth." She walked toward the edge of the tower and raised her hand. Blue light spread from her palm, forming a holographic vision in the air, a projection of her homeworld, planet Orin. Ethan stared. It was breathtaking. Oceans of silver light, floating islands, and skies that shimmered like liquid glass. But there was destruction too. Whole cities lay in ruins, burning under strange ships. "This was Orin," Lyra said quietly. "A world of peace once. We did not fight, we did not kill. Our bodies stored energy, life itself. We shared it with the universe." She looked down. "But the others saw us as weak and easy to conquer." The image shifted. Fleets of alien warships attacking, fire raining from the skies. The Orins stood together, glowing brightly, releasing energy that shielded the planet. But not forever. "We fought with our hearts," Lyra whispered. "Not weapons. But hearts can break." The vision showed Lyra as a child crying beside fallen warriors. Then, an older Lyra standing alone among the ruins, her body glowing with immense power. Ethan swallowed hard. You lost everyone," she nodded. "I was chosen as the keeper of the last light, the last of our energy line. My people stored life force within their forms. Our size, our shape, everything you humans laugh at. It's power, not shame." Ethan felt his throat tighten. He remembered all the cruel words, the laughter, the bet. "I thought you were weak," he said quietly. "I thought you were." "Strange," Lyra smiled sadly. "You only saw with your eyes. Most humans do." She turned toward him, her voice now calm but firm. "I knew about the bet, Ethan. I heard your laughter that day in the cafeteria." Ethan froze. "You knew?" "I did," she said. "But I accepted your offer anyway." "Why?" he whispered. "Because my people believed in second chances. I wanted to see if a human heart could change. If your kind could learn what love and respect really mean." Ethan took a step back, guilt hitting him like a wave. "You married me. To teach me a lesson?" Lyra shook her head. "No. I married you to teach you the truth about what lies beneath cruelty." Silence fell. The wind howled across the tower, carrying the faint hum of her energy. Ethan looked down at his hands. "You've given me your memories, your power. But why me? I don't deserve it." Lyra looked at him with soft eyes. "Because you needed it most. And because the universe has a strange way of choosing its messengers." Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them. Distant alarms echoed through the academy. Red lights flashed across the horizon. Lyra looked up sharply. "They've found me." "Who?" Ethan asked. "The ones who destroyed my world," she said, her tone calm but urgent. "They want the last of Orin's energy, and it lives inside me." Ethan's blood ran cold. "Then we have to run." Lyra shook her head. "No, we stand." Blue energy began to swirl around her, lifting her hair, lighting the night like a storm of stars. "Ethan, our bond makes you part of this now. You feel my power, but you must learn to use it." "I can't fight them," he shouted. "I don't even understand what I am." "You're human," she said softly. "And that is enough. But you will soon understand why your kind is feared. Not for strength, but for heart." The sky erupted in explosions above them. Alien ships descending through the clouds. The academy sirens wailed. Lyra placed her hand on his chest. "When the light calls, follow it. Trust your heart. The bond will show you the way." "Lyra, what are you going to do?" Ethan asked, panic rising. She smiled faintly. "What my people always did. Protect life even from those who mock it. As she stepped into the glowing air, her body became brighter than the twin moons. The wind roared. The sky split with light. Ethan shielded his eyes, his heart racing, and for the first time, he didn't see her as the alien girl. He saw her as something beautiful. The sky above Orion Academy had turned into fire. Massive alien ships hovered like dark mountains, their red engines glowing through the storm clouds. Sirens screamed through the air and terrified students ran in every direction. Ethan stood on the academy roof watching the chaos unfold below. He could feel the rumble in his bones, a deep vibration that wasn't from fear but from Lyra's energy pulsing through him. "Lyra," he shouted. "Where are you?" A voice echoed behind him. "Here." She stepped out of the light, her silver blue skin glowing brighter than ever. Energy spiraled around her, bending the air itself. Her eyes burned like stars. "They've come for the last of Orin's power," she said quietly. "They want the life that lives within me." Ethan's hands clenched. "Then we fight?" Lyra smiled faintly. "You sound like a true human now." The enemy ships fired plasma bolts down on the city below. Explosions lit the academy courtyard. Students screamed. Lyra raised her hands and a dome of glowing light spread around the academy, a shield that absorbed the attacks. Each blast dimmed her glow a little more. Ethan ran to her side. "You can't hold this alone." "I must," she said through trembling breaths. "If the shield breaks, they'll destroy everyone." Her voice was calm, but her body was shaking. Energy poured from her like water spilling from a cracked vessel. Ethan grabbed her shoulders. "Let me help. I can feel your energy and I can share it." Lyra looked at him sadly. "You would not survive the transfer." "I don't care," he shouted. "You gave me your strength, now let me return it." For a moment she hesitated and then nodded. "Very well. But remember, once our hearts merge fully, neither will remain the same." They joined hands. Blue light erupted between them, spreading outward like a storm. The energy roared through Ethan's body, pain, warmth, and 1,000 voices whispering from deep within. He saw flashes again. The fall of Orin, the tears of its children, the hope that never died. And then he saw something else. Lyra's memories of him, her watching him in the cafeteria. Her silent prayers that maybe, just maybe, a human heart could change. Ethan's throat tightened. "You knew this would happen." "Yes," she whispered. "I hoped you would see beyond laughter." Down below, soldiers and drones gathered, aiming weapons at the sky. "Target the alien energy source," someone yelled. "Lyra!" Ethan cried. "They're going to shoot again." "I know," she said, closing her eyes. "And this time I won't block it, I'll return it." She lifted both arms toward the sky. The air vibrated, the ground shaking beneath their feet. Energy spiraled upward like a storm of light. The ships fired, hundreds of plasma bolts raining down. But Lyra didn't move away. Instead, she absorbed the blasts, her body glowing brighter and brighter until it was hard to look at her. Ethan shouted, "Stop! You'll kill yourself." She turned to him, smiling softly through the light. "My people are gone, Ethan, but through you, they can live again." "No!" He reached for her hand, but his fingers passed through pure energy. She was fading. "Don't cry for me," she whispered. "You taught me something even Orin forgot, that humans can change, that even cruelty can become compassion." Her voice trembled as her light began to expand, spreading across the entire academy like a wave. Ethan fell to his knees, tears burning his eyes. "Please, don't leave me." She leaned forward, her glowing form inches from his face. "I'm not leaving. I'm becoming part of you." The light exploded outward, a silent, breathtaking wave that covered the entire academy and then spread through the clouds. Every ship above froze mid-air. Their engines flickered, then went dark. One by one, they fell into the sea below like dying stars. The explosion stopped. Silence returned. Where Lyra had stood, there was nothing, only faint glowing dust floating in the air. Ethan reached out, catching some in his hand. It felt warm, alive. He whispered, voice breaking, "You saved them all. And I couldn't save you." Then he felt it, a gentle warmth in his chest. Her voice, faint but clear, echoed inside his mind. "You did save me. My light lives where your heart beats." The next morning, as the academy rebuilt itself, people spoke of the mysterious blue barrier that saved them. They didn't know the truth, but Ethan did. He stood by the ruins of the tower, the wind brushing his face. His skin still shimmered faintly with silver light. He looked at the sunrise and whispered, "You sacrificed everything for people who laughed at you. You were the bravest soul I ever met." A small blue feather of light drifted by his shoulder, glowing softly before fading into the sky. He smiled through tears. "Goodbye, Lyra." Or maybe not goodbye, because somewhere deep inside her heartbeat still echoed with his own. The battle was over. The sky above Orion Academy had cleared, painted now with soft gold and silver clouds. The air smelled of rain and quiet sorrow. The alien ships were gone, silent wrecks lying deep beneath the oceans of the planet. But victory did not feel like victory. Ethan stood alone on the academy rooftop, where it had all ended. The wind whispered through the broken glass and twisted metal. He could still feel the warmth of her energy in the air, faint but alive, like the echo of a heartbeat that refused to fade. Lyra was gone. At least, that's what everyone believed. In the following days, the academy rebuilt itself. The news channels called Ethan the human who saved the world. They spoke of courage and heroism, but they didn't know the truth, that it wasn't him who saved them. It was her. When reporters asked how he did it, he only said one sentence. "Someone taught me what strength truly means." At night, he could no longer sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard her voice whispering softly, not in words but in feelings. Calm, warmth, love. He often went to the garden where they first met. The same fountain still glowed faintly with blue light. Sometimes when he touched the water, tiny sparks of energy danced on his fingers. "Is that you, Lyra?" he whispered one night. The water rippled, glowing brighter for a moment as if answering him. Weeks turned into months. Ethan began to change, not just inside but outwardly too. His eyes carried a gentle glow. His hands could sense vibrations in the air. He could heal small wounds just by touching them. Rumors spread again. "He's part alien now," people whispered, but Ethan didn't care anymore. He used his new gift to help others, injured students, workers, even creatures from other worlds who came seeking healing. And every time he helped someone, he felt that same soft warmth inside his chest, the pulse of Lyra's light. He knew she was still there. One evening, during the ceremony to honor the fallen, Ethan stood before the crowd. He wore a simple white uniform, no medals, no ranks. The academy commander said, "Ethan Cole, the man who bridged two worlds." The audience clapped, but Ethan lifted his hand gently. "I'm not the hero," he said. "The real hero was someone you all laughed at, someone you never tried to understand." The hall grew silent. He continued, voice steady but filled with emotion. "She wasn't human, but she showed me what it means to be human. Her name was Lyra of Orin, and she saved not just this academy, but me." For a moment, no one spoke. Then slowly, people began to stand one by one, until the entire hall rose in silent respect. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "She taught me that compassion is stronger than any weapon, and love, even between worlds, can change everything." That night, when the crowd was gone and the lights dimmed, Ethan returned to the rooftop one last time. The stars above looked brighter than ever, like eyes watching from the heavens. He looked up and whispered, "Lyra, if you can hear me, I hope you know I'm sorry for everything. And thank you for showing me what love really is." A soft breeze brushed his face. The air shimmered faintly. Then, out of the quiet, he heard a familiar voice, gentle, musical, and full of warmth. "I never left, Ethan." He turned sharply. Light began to form in front of him, soft blue particles swirling together until they took shape. Lyra stood there, not solid, but glowing, her form made of energy and light. Her eyes were bright, her smile tender. "Lyra," he whispered, barely breathing. She stepped closer, her voice like a melody. "Energy never dies. It changes form. Part of me lives in you, and part of me remains here watching." Tears rolled down his face. "I thought I lost you," she smiled softly. "You did lose me. But you also found me. In every act of kindness, every time you help someone, I live through you." He reached out his hand. For a moment, her light touched his fingertips, warm and real. "Will I ever see you again?" he asked. She looked toward the horizon, where the first rays of dawn broke through. You already do. Every sunrise, every breath of wind, I am there. The light around her began to fade. Wait, he said, but she only smiled. Goodbye, Ethan, she whispered. Or perhaps, see you in the stars. And with that, she dissolved into thousands of glowing fragments that floated upward, merging with the dawn sky. Ethan stood there, eyes full of tears, but heart full of peace. The wind carried her voice one last time. You married me for a bet, but you found the truth of love. He smiled through his tears. And you shocked me like I've never been shocked before. As the first sunlight touched his face, the academy bells rang, not in mourning, but in hope. A new day had begun, one where humans and aliens learned side by side, not as enemies but as equals, and high above, among the stars a faint blue glow shimmered, the eternal soul of the alien girl who had changed the fate of two worlds forever.